Hi CLC, how are you guys? English major Jeff Johnson here. The date is Monday, February 23rd, and snow days and my medallion hunt by extension are officially underway. You know, I was taking a brisk walk around my farm down here in Stearns County a little while ago this morning, and I was thinking, an awful lot of students might be watching these videos who don't have any idea who I am. Maybe we've never even talked. And it seems to me that I should just really quickly introduce myself. And what could be the most important thing I tell you as a proud member of the English department? The principal thing that matters in my teaching life is beauty. Beauty, which is a fundamental source of human happiness. And I get that idea from the great German philosopher Dietrich von Hildebrand. I serve beauty. That's what I traffic in. I try to achieve that with every single class I teach. I teach live classes only. I do it with trips. I take students in the fall from CLC to the Minneapolis Institute of Arts. And every spring, I take all kinds of students down to the Guthrie Theater to see Shakespeare. I'm getting 150 students in 3 weeks to Macbeth, where the stage will be littered with bodies. I do it also with every single poetry reading that I organize, promote, and host for my Verse Like Water series, which is a really big deal to me. I've been bringing some of the biggest poets in the world, 52 in all across the last 14 years, to our college and region. We're talking about writers that are U.S. Poet Laureates, writers with Pulitzer Prizes, National Book Awards, Guggenheim, MacArthur Fellows, etc. And maybe you'll think about coming to one of my poetry readings soon. If you do, you'll walk with a beautiful book of poetry, courtesy of the Olseth Family Foundation. So in particular, today, as I offer you a vid that might have a clue or two here and there, I'd like to read a poem to you from a poet that I didn't quite host. And I'm talking about the great Galway Canal. 17 years ago, in my old teaching life, in the last moments of it anyway, I had a contract to host Galway. He was one of our greatest poets of the 20th century. He also had a dreadful drinking problem, and that shortened his life. Back then, my poetry friend group told me that Galway was alternately brilliant or drunk for every other reading. And I thought, I'll throw those dice. And I had to not use that contract because I was starting up a different teaching life at CLC. And you'd have to take one of my classes to know the real true story of what brought me to my favorite school of all. Galway died while I was hosting the great Robert Hass. I remember Robert Hass, a U.S. Poet Laureate in 2014, got in my old truck, put his hand on my arm and said, "Galway's in hospice." And I said, "I know. I heard that from Sharon Olds, called me from California." And Galway died that night. And I brought that news to Robert Hass. He was over in my lakeside guest house when I brought him his bacon and coffee and eggs the following morning. I stood on the hill crying with him a little bit, sipping coffee under a gunmetal gray sky, as a poet would say, thinking, how is this even happening to me? How do I have the privilege to be with one great writer after another? This poem is not very long, and watch the imagery, and there's a very quick story behind it that's true, real true story. Galway Canal I'm forgetting where I was a professor a number of years ago, about 25, 30 years ago, and one of his students appeared in his office and told him that her love affair had ended and she didn't know if she could continue with life. And he said, "I have to teach a class, but I want to talk to you again. Do you swear to come back to this office before you leave this campus?" And she said, "I swear." 3 hours later, she came walking back in. And in the time between the first meeting and the second conference, he wrote this in a high state of excitement. Galway Canal, wait. Wait for now. Distrust everything if you have to, but trust the hours. Haven't they carried you everywhere up to now? Personal events will become interesting again. Hair will become interesting. Pain will become interesting. Buds that open out of season will become interesting. Second-hand gloves will become lovely again. Their memories are what give them the need for other hands. The desolation of lovers is the same. That enormous emptiness, carved out of such tiny beings as we are, asks to be filled. The need for the new love is faithfulness for the old. Wait, don't go too early. You're tired. But everyone's tired. But no one is tired enough. Only wait a little and listen. Music of hair, music of pain, music of looms weaving our loves again. Be there to hear it. It will be the only time. Gosh, what a gifted poet. Do you guys ever hug poetry? Do you ever hug books? I do. I think it's a good habit to get into. Books that you really love, hug them. Take them into your arms and just give them a squeeze. Good luck this week. I'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday, the 24th, with another clue chock full of, vid chock full of clues. I'm falling apart. Bless you. Love you guys.